morning. We had quite a wild ride last night. That's our anchor track. We didn't drag anchor, but between the currents that come in and out of the bridge there, went out to the Atlantic side and here on the Gulf, and the opposing wind that we had an east wind which was right at us this way. So every time the tide was opposing, we had really big breakers, waves hitting the hull, making a racket, tossing us around quite a bit. It's not bad now with the light east wind and the outgoing tide, but when you had an incoming tide, it really churned up the surf. So as good as this anchorage was, with this restaurant right next door, Liquid Barbecue and Pizza, we are heading out a little further south towards Marathon. The anchorage we're going to is called Fat Deer Key, and it has a nice cove. It's relatively protected by the east winds, and it has a ramp that we could take the dinghy to shore, and another nice waterfront restaurant. Cape Coral to the Florida Keys, 2024. Stay with us. Okay, we are anchored Fat Deer Key. We're right off of the Island Fish Company restaurant right over there, and Tiki Bar. Just to the left of that, past that sandy spit over there, is the ramp. Could take me to walk over there, no problem, at that public ramp. This also looks like we could go right over here too. Some sandy area, grass. Right behind us is Vacay Key, which is a little rocky coral island. Looks like a lot of birds on it. And there's a cut that goes through the island over here, or the key, to the other side, the Atlantic side. I'm gonna call it that, the ocean side. We are on the Gulf side, and we can't get under that bridge over there. So we're anchored here. It's relatively shallow. We're only at about 5.5 feet of water. Can't really see the bottom. A little murky. I do see some shadows of things here and there. I think the anchor is set pretty good. Took us a little time, but better spot for Matey here. And here's Bridget.
Hi. Here's Marathon.
Yes, we are in Marathon. So we're going to stay here for at least the next 24 hours. We're going to go to lunch or dinner at the Island Fish Company, and then we are maybe going to do lunch there too. Breakfast. Breakfast tomorrow, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, and then it's further south for us. Marathon.
The Coast Guard has received a report of 3 people in 2 kayaks and a paddleboard possibly overdue in vicinity of Plantation Key. All mariners are requested to keep a sharp lookout as is possible and report all sightings to the United States Coast Guard on Channel 16.
Well, we were enjoying a nice day, chill day, and the storm just rolled in. Mommy tried to put some of the plastic up so that we needed to dry. We were anchored, but we're dragging, I guess. Not a great situation.
You could see the storm that just came through and everything that's behind it. Hopefully that was the worst of it, with the cold front that came with it. felt good for a few seconds until the winds whipped up. We dragged anchor pretty bad. So our anchor was originally set up over here, and then the storm came in. We started dragging this way, went into panic mode, fired up the engines, got her up close. The worst part is that the wind shifted direction. So the anchor, when it was pulling in the other direction, it broke loose and started putting us right towards shore, which is not far away. So we're in about 5.5 feet of water now, and it got shallow quick. So we motored up on the anchor, and I pulled in some of the anchor rods just so I wouldn't get it wrapped around the propellers. But it seems to be holding now. I have about 60 feet of line out in 6 feet of water. It's 10-to-1 scope. But I don't even know if I trust that. A storm like that coming through. Hopefully the rest of it is just rain and not heavy wind like that. I thankfully didn't have my bridle on yet, because that would have really screwed me up. But look at the anchor pulpit. How that chain catch, or whatever they call it, that loop right there is all bent up. It was bent up a little bit from Hurricane Ian, but it got really bent up in this storm. The chain hopped out of the roller and would have been on the side of the boat if it wasn't for that loop that's there. So I'll have to straighten that out next. Here's our next mishap that happened during all this. Our Bimini top ripped and was flying off in the winds because we don't have all the plastic up. I just put up front plastic quick before the storm hit, so I didn't get it all in my face. But the wind caught under here, the zipper undone, and it ripped all the stitching. So right now I got it best I can. And Bridget was trying to hold it. She had just gotten out of the shower, dried off.
Thinking I was going to sit out the nice rainstorm.
Yeah.
Reading a book.
But she was standing there holding the bimini from just ripping completely off. So I'm going to have to try to find something to fix that, at least temporarily. Usually with the plastic up, it holds it down so the wind doesn't whip it up. But with all the plastic up, it was just whipping around. All right, I think best bet right now is to pull anchor and set further out there, so I could get a little further away from these shallows. It gives me some time to react. But if we start dragging during a storm, by the time I start up the motors, we'll be in shallow water. So I gotta move the boat. More rain is coming, but here we are. The wind completely shifted direction again. It's a lot cooler out. We got almost 90 feet of chain out in about 8 feet of water. So we should be good. I really backed down on the anchor, so it should hold in just about any wind. And I also put the bridle on. Matey was a bit nervous, right, pup? You want some rum and coke? Of course he does. It's not all rainbows and roses, Bridget says. Oh, it's not all sunshine and rainbows out here, being out in the water for this long. So this is like our second or third big storm, second storm that we had to deal with, where I had to power up on the anchor or power up the motors to make sure we didn't run aground. So here it is, the calm after the storm. So it looks like rain should be stopping, and they don't show any more rain in the forecast the rest of the day. Let's see what tomorrow looks like. Possible light rain. So here's a close-up of the bail, I believe they call this, for the anchor pulpit. So when the winds were whipping all around, the chain actually pulled out of here and was resting right there as it was pulling from the right. So thankfully that held, because had it not been there, the chain would have came out here and it would have started rubbing on the rub rail. So it did its job. So I'm going to try to straighten that out. I already straightened it out once for the last hurricane we were involved in, Hurricane Ian. So now I got to straighten it out again. But you can see how it got pretty scratched up. So I have my bridle on. The winds are out of the east again, so we're nice and calm here. But when that storm came in, the winds came out of the west. We swung around, and we were facing that direction. Well, the stern was facing, and we were blowing ashore. But so we started dragging. But now it's nice and peaceful. Still got the some of the plastic up, and I think we should be okay for the rest of the night. But what an exciting day. I really have no interest in going to the restaurant over there, Island Fish Company, whatever it's called. At least not today. I'm gonna take it easy. We have the ramp right over here. I could take Matey for a walk there. Exciting day on the high seas or the low seas. At least we're still here and kicking. If that's all we have to worry about, a vice grip and some pliers, straighten that out a little bit, and we'll be good. There we go. Taking Matey for a walk. Little ramp over here we might be able to pull up to, right next to the restaurant. So that worked out good. Right next to the restaurant. Looks like they're dock and dine. Slip. There's a jetty over here. Can't pull up over here. A little shallow. Little coral island is Vacay Key. It is really small and very jagged shore. I don't want to pull a dinghy up on there. Lots of birds on it too. It's shallow here. Full service. So we will continue on journey south. Actually, we're almost to the end of our journey here in Marathon, and then we start heading back up north towards the Everglades. Fun times.